What's up, Canes fans? We are back, the Sixth Ring Canes show. What's going on, everybody? Joined by Dave Eversole to my – well, he's underneath me. I don't know where you are on my screen, but on your screen. But we got Dave Eversole here, Paul Austria, and Danny Gillette joining us here on the Five Rings – listen to me, the Five Rings, the Sixth Ring Canes show. Probably going to see Jakari in a little while, but what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Doing
hey,
good.
Excited for the season to start, finally.
Yeah. What, 17 days,
back.
right? 17 days in Canada?
I think so, yeah, 17 days.
Like 2.5 weeks, yeah.
Nice. You know, we got a little bit to talk about today, but scrimmage number 2 kind of crept up on us, right? They didn't really talk too much about it, but we've got some good notes, some good stats on the game. Manny Diaz came out that night and talked a little bit about it, spoke about the offensive play and the defensive play, getting a couple of guys back, couple starters back. I think Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips finally got back in the mix. I think John Ford came back as well. So defense looked –
all of the D-line.
Yeah, D-line came back. They looked a little more aggressive. Apparently they dominated the first half of the scrimmage, and then the offense kind of started building back up and did a little better in the second half. I want to start off by, maybe giving my analysis a little bit, based off of what Manny Diaz and the stats told us. First and foremost, I'm not going to read too much into Derek King again, 95 yards and 2 scores. I mean, that could have meant that he didn't play a lot. That could have meant that he ran the ball a lot and had a lot of yards on the ground as well. So still threw 2 touchdown passes. So that was nice to see. The one I was really, really surprised about, and I think is going to have a bright future at the University of Miami, is Tyler Van Dyke. I mean, 5 of 6 for 205 yards, a touchdown. He threw a pick, but I think that was from what I saw as far as the highlights are concerned. What's up, Jock?
What's up, man?
What
As
up?
far as the highlights are concerned, it was a tip ball that was right in the receiver's hand, right? So, it's kind of hard to blame him on that one. But give me your analysis a little bit, and I'll start with Dave. Down below. I'll start with Dave a little bit. Give us your analysis. What you thought about the scrimmage?
Well, I just like the infusion of youth on the offensive side of the ball with guys like Restrepo. He's going to sort of replicate that Barrios role in the slot. I believe he had 5 catches for around 75 yards or so. So he's going to open up the middle of the field. You've got Pope and Harley on the outside. So I like having him kind of have a good performance early, sort of get his feet underneath him. And then you also have Chaney and Knight in the backfield. So a lot of talent coming in on offense, which is going to really, I think, help even things out. We talked about that in the last program, how the offense is starting to catch up a little bit. And then you've got the defensive line that really has a lot of depth. Even after losing Rousseau, you get Phillips, you've got Ford back, like you said. And the defensive line is just going to be nasty this year. I'm really excited about that group. And in the secondary, they're making some plays. They're active from what we know. It looks like they're starting to get busy back there on the defensive back half, which is good.
Yeah, the young guys in the defensive backfield still making a lot of plays. Right, this time it was it Marcus Clark? This time
Balaam.
It was Balaam, Brian Balaam. That's right, Brian Balaam.
Couch had some plays too, I know.
Yeah,
Couch with the interception too, forced on.
Couch, right? Corey Couch as well. So I mean, the young guys continuously stepping up, and that's an ode to the coaching staff as well, developing these young cats. You mentioned it, Dave. Jalen Knighton. You mentioned Xavier Restrepo balled out again. I mean, this is scrimmage number 2 that he does this, that he's still kind of showing out. Another guy that is not being spoken about enough, I think, is Keyshawn Smith, the other wide receiver out of California, who made a really nice catch on that highlight that I saw. A really nice catch, and he looks to be playing really well as well. So, Jock, I know you just came in, but talk to me a little bit about what you heard, what you saw, any stats, anything that kind of stood out to you for scrimmage number 2.
Particularly for me, it was the running game. I'm looking at the guys that we have. With Cam Harris had 13 carries, 77 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. That's pretty exciting. And it seems like Knighton and Chaney are just explosive guys, because it seems like every time these guys are touching the football, they're scoring touchdowns. So I'm looking at the diversity it's going to bring within the offense. Because I mean, we know we got the skilled players on the outside with Pope, Restrepo stepping up. You still got Wiggins. You still got the kid you just mentioned, Keyshawn. So you're gonna have a lot of talent, but the running game within that offense with the spreading out, the running game is gonna always be there for Miami. So it's just gonna be the backs producing. But I do see Cam Harris taking the lead role. But for me, I think Jalen Knight is gonna be the next guy in line who we're gonna see. They're gonna use, in reverses, jet sweeps, stuff like that. Get him involved in the offense, get him touches within the game, just because he's explosive and the kid has been explosive. So that's been my analysis. The offense is really, clicking at a high rate like we expected with the new offensive coordinator and with the up-tempo style. So I'm expecting a lot of big plays, but the running game will be very important to produce because with De'Aaron King, we can run a lot of zone read, switch power plays. You can open up the offense that way with a lot of the QB run game, taking guys within and out the box. Because once we get the QB run game and the run game going, the passing game is going to open up with the play action and the deep shots down the field.
I want to piggyback off of that with you, Paul, because Jock brought up a great point with the running game. The video that I saw, the highlights that I saw, I actually showed it to a couple buddies of mine. The first thing that they brought up was, did you see all the holes that these guys are having on the offensive line, all these gaps that these running backs are able to run through? And I think that has to do with a lot of that read, that zone, that play calling that Rhett Lashley is going to bring. With all that being said, right, the running game is exciting. The offense is exciting. Are you concerned by not seeing certain guys show up on the stat sheet more often than not? Perfect example, Mark Pope, right? We haven't heard too much. He's still a little quiet in these scrimmages. Is that something you're concerned about? And what else did you see that you liked out of the scrimmage?
To say it is a little concerning. It's something to think about because, Manny's been kind of mentioning mostly the young guys like you mentioned, Restrepo, even Keyshawn Smith. So you're kind of left in the unknown about whether, they are making plays. And I think Pope is working hard this offseason. I've seen a lot of videos of him working on his footwork and everything. I think it's kind of like a pro and con to it. You kind of hope that Pope and even Wiggins kind of, go off this year. And it's also reassuring that we also have the young depth on our team just in case these guys don't perform. Like Restrepo and Smith seem like they're way too good to be redshirted this year. Way too good. They're definitely going to see the field.
But it doesn't matter. They're not going to lose any other this year, so they're good.
Yeah. I think that's a big role as well because I feel like the coaches have nothing to lose putting these young guys who are, improving at such a high level. It's no risk to putting them out there. Let's go ahead and play them, see what we got. Okay, this guy needs the red shirt and he needs to develop some because this is kind of a lost season because these guys are not losing their eligibility. I mean, you are basically this is a spring season for them.
Nothing to lose.
It's a spring season for them. So it's concerning seeing that Pope's not showing up because I really expected big things for him. But it's kind of not because in the game it can be different. You know what I mean? The game is a lot faster and Pope got the experience to play. So we'll see how it transforms over. But I do, I'm with you on that. It's concerning though to an extent.
DJ,
team wise, I think it's good just because we had the depth. But for Pope and Wiggins' development, player wise, it's definitely something to think about.
Right.
Going forward.
Danny Gillette, talk to me.
Well, when you look at the stats from the scrimmage, I just kind of want to piggyback off of the running game. The running game, I said last week that you kind of want to see improvement and not any sort of regression in these scrimmages, and the running game has performed strong for the second straight week. I think the emergence of the running game, that's huge because as a coach, that gives you a ton of options. Like if King isn't playing well, one game and things just aren't working out from a quarterback perspective, then you can go to the running game and kind of rely on them to be able to make plays. Are they going to get, 20 yards every play? No, but they could help stabilize the offense, and to have that depth and talent at the running back position should definitely help Miami moving forward.
Well, and I still think that even if De'Aaron King is not having a great game throwing the ball, you still got to worry about his legs, right? Because that's probably his biggest weapon is that he's able to get out of the pocket, make things, make plays with his feet more than just his arm. Although, I mean, he's got a great arm. We've seen it already. He's got great presence, and his play calling ability, I think, is just going to mesh well. His ability to command this offense based off of Coach Lashley's play calling, I think, is going to bode well for us as well. I want to switch it over now. We've been talking a lot about offense. Let's go back to the defense a little bit. Again, we touched on it early. Brian Bell, Marcus Clark, to Corey Couch, all these guys that are really starting to make a lot of plays in the backfield. Maybe even a kid like Keyshawn Washington, who not a lot of us are talking about. I think is going to be huge, especially with the loss of Avante Williams not being able to play this year. I think that I'm okay with it because of our depth in the defensive backfield. However, Dave, what do you see out of these guys? What is it about? Is it a matter of just coaching Ephraim Banda and Mike Rumpf and these guys coaching these guys up to play as well as they're playing? Is it a talent level? What do you see out of these guys this year?
I see experience is going to help them be in better position, and they have the athletic ability. So if if the game slows down for them a little bit with coaching, they're going to make a lot of plays. They're active in the secondary. They're not getting lost in there. As long as they're playing good fundamentally in the secondary, I think they're going to start to make a lot of plays because you're going to have that push up front, not only from the edge, but in the middle with Nestor, and you're going to have Ford disrupting at all levels of the defensive line. I think the secondary is going to benefit from a really strong pass rush. My only question is how are the linebackers going to adapt in the coverage game. I'm not too concerned about them going downhill, but I'm a little concerned about the linebackers in coverage. I know we've got a lot more speed with the departures of the linebackers that seem like they were there forever. So I like that, but there's a few questions. If I have any question marks really about the team, I'd say it'd probably be the linebacker spot. And then I think you just got to get the plays. We have a good safety tandem with Bolden out there, and shoot, I just drew a blank. Yeah, thank you. So, and then you got Ivy on the outside. You got a lot of playmakers out there. They just put it all together.
Well, bringing up a good point with the linebackers. I think that right now, Coach Diaz and all the defensive coaches, Pat Key and all these guys that are coaching up the linebackers are still testing the waters out, right? They're kind of mixing and matching players. Right? You got Bradley Jennings, you've got Wayman Steed, you've got some of these. You got obviously the young kids like Sam Brooks and Avery Huff, Tyreek Austin Cave. You've got Corey Flagg. You've got a lot of talent, but a lot of young talent that maybe is their bodies haven't developed yet into that prototypical NCAA linebacker. Again, it doesn't really matter though because we're based more off of speed. So you don't need these 6'3", 6'2", 250-pound linebackers, right? A lot of these guys are a lot thinner than that. But as far as meshing everybody together, what kind of lineup? And Jock, I'm going to actually go to you on this. What kind of lineup do you see Manny Diaz starting off with at the linebacker position?
I imagine them transitioning to the 4-2-5 defense, just because it puts more speed on the field. I think they do still want to play Filson, who flashed a little bit last year. I think they do want to get him on the field. So I see us with the 4-2-5 defense. To your point about the linebackers, you don't need to be 6'3", 250 playing linebacker because it's a pace and space game where it's hurry up offense, quick perimeter passing. You got to be able to fly to the football. You want more athletic linebackers. That's why Sam Brooks kind of, he's going to struggle a little bit because he's not as athletic as you would want him to be, as a linebacker side to side. But hopefully he slapped down because he came into college as a kind of a big kid to me. But I think the 4-2-5 would be the best defense to run, especially against the offenses with the spread offense. And you actually have that guy who's at the star position, who's a bona fide linebacker safety guy, but he can cover out there in space. But it's good against the run game, especially with all the depth that we have on the D-line. So you can be able to rotate those guys, win with 4, drops 7 in coverage. You'll be able to do stuff like that. or bring the blitzes with the star linebacker who's coming off the edge, or, rotate the safety down if you're having struggling in the run game. You can. It's just a lot of variation. So the 4-2-5 would be the best defense for Miami to run based on the talent they have, and they're gonna always have the speed to win on the outside. So the sideline to sideline will never be a problem with that defense out there.
So if you had to choose two linebackers that are going to start off in the 4-2-5, who would you choose? I mean, I know Zach McLeod is kind of a lock already, right?
Yes, Zach McLeod is a lot because he flashed a lot last season and he was behind those guys. I mean,
it's his time.
It seems like Shaq Quarterman and Michael Pinkney was there.
It's there finally.
So
they could have stayed an extra year and then played next year also. Right?
I would say this. Sam Brooks probably is gonna get the chance because he did play a little last year. He's gonna get the chance to play. Now, does he adjust to the defense they're running? We don't know, but that's the guy they should go with. Because to me, this season right now is a bona fide extended spring season. We don't have nothing to lose. Put the guys out there. Let's see who can play. Like I said, he's going to be there. But next year when the kid from Weston comes, Williams, he'll be right there in the linebacker spot in the 4-2-5. So it'll be, him, one of the Fearson. I think him or Fearson will make the transition over in the box to me.
I think another kid, Paul, is that we don't really talk about a lot, but I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to be right there with Gilbert Frierson is Keontre Smith. He plays well that striker position. He's a little bit smaller than Frierson as far as his stature. I think he's about 5'11", 205, and Frierson's a little bit bigger. But I still think he lays the wood. He can cover. He can drop back, but he can also play up on the line. And like you said, Jock, blitz. Can Keontre Smith be an integral part of this defense as well?
I definitely think so. The only thing is that at striker, he's kind of Frierson's backup, and I think Frierson kind of is at the ideal college size that they would like.
He's huge, so
yeah. I think even coming in, they originally had him at corner, but he didn't really have the hips to play corner. So they moved him to, I think either they moved him to safety and then striker, or just straight to striker.
I think they created the striker position for him though, because remember early in camp he was playing corner, but I think they moved him to striker because he was making plays there in the run game as well.
Right.
Yeah. I remember. I think I watched the first spring game he had, and he got torched a few times. But aside from that, I think and I think for the striker position, like they kind of make it for guys that are kind of a hybrid between a linebacker and a safety. It's kind of basically just they mold safeties into a linebacker so that they can cover if need be. As for the linebacker position, they have a lot of good young guys. I'm excited about Brooks. I remember Brooks had 10 or 11 tackles against Louisiana Tech. Definitely a very Miami guy. He is kind of on the smaller side. I think he's up to 220 now. He came into Miami really, really skinny. But I think at linebacker, they're good. It's just, outside of Zach McLeod, you really hope that guys like Bradley Jennings, Wayman Steed. I think Steed's been injured a lot. He's barely played at all. And he was a solid linebacker at Miami Central. So I think if he stays healthy, he can definitely make an impact. Same thing with Jennings. Jennings has been dealing with a bunch of injuries, and
but they're both healthy finally this year, right? They're both finally healthy.
Yeah.
Ready to go. So I think I can see them making a big impact along with the younger guys also.
It's gonna help. It's gonna alleviate the pressure off the young guys, and I think especially with Brooks, it kind of gives them more freedom to kind of just be them and not feel
run and chase linebackers just get out in space.
Yeah, and Jennings and Cedar are solid linebackers, so I think they'll be fine for the most part. But I think one of the big knocks I think on Quarterman and Pickney last year was coverage. A lot of times they play a fast tight end, they get burned, and you just got to hope it's not the same thing with these guys as well.
I got a question. What do you guys think Miami defense will rank through the totality of the season? What do you see them at?
Oof.
I mean, based off of how many teams are actually going to play. So maybe
that's another thing.
Out of the 50 teams that are going to play, I can see them top 10, top 15.
10. Yeah.
You know, it's all gonna come down to Dave. Dave keeps saying it. A lot of us are saying it's all gonna come down to can the linebackers, play in coverage, because I think our defensive line is second to none. It's going to be tough. I mean, you've got other defensive lines that are good. I hate to say it, FSU has a strong defensive line. Clemson is going to bring back some solid defensive.
Well, you remember they're missing Thomas now on the outside too now, because he's not Xavier Thomas not going to play.
Xavier Thomas, right. Yeah, but I mean, come on, they're always loaded up over there.
So
I can say Miami is probably a top 2 or top 3 defensive line, and I think people are sleeping on their defensive backfield. I think it's one of the top, at least a safety position, and maybe Al Blades. I mean, Al Blades.
I think Al Blades has been the best. I think he's the best corner.
He's an absolute. I saw some number comparison between him and the kid out of Ohio State that got drafted in the first round.
Oh, Jeff Okudah.
Yeah, Jeff Okudah, and his numbers were.
But he's not. But Jeff Okudah on film though is a bit amazing though. The stuff he can do is pretty good. I do think this though. Miami. When's the last time since what 2008 or in the early 2000s? When the last time we ever said Miami got a fierce defensive line? Like, this is the first time in a long time we able to. Yeah. It's the first time in a long time.
From edge to edge. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, definitely.
And to still say we have a top D line with losing a guy who's a top 5 pick, projected top 5 guy. That's very much a lot to say. And the offensive line to me has been pretty good as well.
Been a surprise.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Always a question mark.
Always, but I think this year again. I think with guy. I mean, listen, Jalen Rivers is an absolute hoss. That guy is huge.
Yeah.
John Campbell. I think is going to be a ACC All American this year. I think, and Corey Gaynor's gained some weight. You can tell he's gotten a lot stronger as well. I think the offensive line is actually going to start to show out, and it's going to be less of a question mark. I mean, fingers crossed, of course, but I think
they were young. They were young last season, but the offense that they're running this year is going to help them without this elongated passing game where you had last year with Williams holding on to the ball every time he dropped back. Oh, let's pat the ball for 20. No, it's going to be quick passing game, quick run game. Let's get out and go, pace and space. So I think that's going to benefit the offensive line, because last year was a lot of the times me and Dave talked about this sort of last year when he was taking all those sacks against Florida. Jesus Christ, he was just holding on to the ball, and it was just like, come on, man, we can't do that. And now you're making the offensive line look bad because you got a freshman. We had a freshman left tackle out there, the kid from South Ridge. The kid from South Ridge, and it was like, if you hold on to the ball for 8 seconds, come on, man. We can't expect them to block that long. Let's get the ball out. And a lot of times I think Williams, how he was playing his game last year, hurt the offensive line, because with Brevin Jordan on the outside, like with Brevin Jordan, you have officially, a tight end, a quarterback's best friend is a good tight end. You can't. That's a top
and Mallory.
And I mean, right now I'm
right
counting on Will Mallory than Brevin Jordan. My man needs to stay healthy, man. I mean, if he stays healthy, he's a first round pick. But I gotta see him stay healthy. I gotta see him stay on the field. I want to pivot over to something before we close this out, because I think it's important to talk about. Danny, I know you're not going to be at any of the games here, but what are you thinking about? You thinking about Jake Garcia over there, Jock?
Yeah, we over there. Let's go, Jake.
Garcia to the U. Look at him. Hashtag it. We got a hashtag it.
He wants it. We all want it.
Moves in the pocket like Tom Brady and has the awareness of Tua. That guy.
That guy.
I heard of the Tom Brady last week.
And then Dave hold on.
I did not compare him to DeMarcus Russell.
Listen. You cannot put Tom Brady in the same system. But the kid has he got talent now.
Yeah, he's special.
And to get him at quarterback with the offensive talent that he's gonna have around him for the next 4 years, Knighton, Chaney, Restrepo, like Mallory.
All right, so you weren't here last week, right, Jock? You think he's coming to Miami? You think he's flipping?
I just think it's a better for him. It's better for him in this sense because Slovis is going to be the guy at USC for the next 2 years. Let's just call it what it is.
And then they got Miller Moss too. So
and like the kid Slovis is really good. Like he's gonna be a first round pick quarterback. Like I watched film on him like a couple of times. How he moves in the pocket, navigate. I have not seen that in a long time out of a freshman kid. How he pocket awareness to move in and out the pocket to throw touchdowns. So for Jake, I think he's looking at a place where he can come play right away as a freshman, and Miami's going to give him the best chance because I think if he commits, De'Aaron King is not coming back, in my opinion, because I don't see the point of bringing him back. I feel like he can just go to the draft and, try his luck, there. Because they're going to promise him he's going to be the guy, so I think he's going to come back.
Okay, fair enough. Let's pivot over to something that I think is important because there may be some mixed emotions. Danny, I know you're not going to be able to make it to many of the games because you're up in Boston, but I want to pivot to that, right? So the city, Hard Rock, they've all decided. The mayor, they've all decided that the Dolphins and the Canes are going to be able to have 13,000 fans at this game, at least for the first game of the season, and then kind of go from there. Is it a smart idea? Is it a good idea? If you were here, would you go to the game?
I would not go to the game only because I have some health problems. I mean, I would definitely want to go to the game for sure, but I don't know. I still have mixed feelings on this. As a sports fan, I would love the opportunity to go to the games. I personally, in my own personal opinion, still don't feel like it's safe enough to go to the games, but I can understand that fans absolutely do want to go to the games and see, the Dolphins and the Hurricanes. They are two similar, teams in the sense that they've got some young talent that are trying to create excitement, and they've made moves in both off seasons that really, have generated excitement among each of their respective fan bases. So I definitely understand fans that do want to go to games, and I understand, why they want to have fans at the games, but I personally would not go.
Dave, what do you think? What do you want to do? What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't attend the games just because it's a little too soon, I think. But Hard Rock Stadium has enacted by far the highest level of sanitation standards. If you read up about it, they've passed some really rigorous disinfecting and safety standards, which are kind of setting the bar for professional sports. But it's all uncertain because there hasn't been a trial run. You've seen in the NBA where on a smaller scale it's worked in that instance. But I just feel with the logistics of football, there's a lot more to it. I worry more about the players and support staff than I really would do about the fans in a lot of instances, just because of all those people that are traveling from different places coming into one location. Whereas with the fans with 13,000, that's roughly 20% capacity of the stadium, 25% capacity. Mm-hmm. It could probably be done with some reasonable modicum of safety. You're going to have a lot of people inside in the suites, I'm sure. I don't know what the divvy is on that as far as I know people are happy to be relocated just based on how they're setting it up. So a lot of people you're not going to be in your normal seat. So it's going to be a different experience for a lot of people. I know with the Dolphins that they're starting to give those assignments out. So it's probably going to follow a similar process with the Hurricanes because they play in the same stadium. So you got a lot of dynamics, a lot of moving parts that hopefully can come into play in a very short amount of time.
Well, listen, I mean, you still got to wear your mask the whole time. You can't have a mask. You can't wear a neck gaiter. You can't wear a scarf. You can't any a bandana. You can't wear anything that has what are these the holes or the ones that have the little pieces coming out or whatever. Holes or anything like that. So you can't wear any of those. So they're going to be very strict about that. Also, I worry more about. So I'm on the fence, right? Obviously, I'm a season ticket holder, but I'm also part of the media. So it kind of I actually feel safer being a part of the media and going to a game than being a fan. And the reason being is fans are rabid. They're crazy, right? So are they going to follow the rules? Number one. Number two, it says the only time you can take your mask off is when you're eating and drinking. Well, you're gonna see a lot of idiots just be like this the whole time, right? I mean, they're gonna find a way not to have to wear it. God knows we see people out on the street wearing it like this all the time, anyways, eating the purpose of it, right? So
yeah,
I think it's gonna be the same thing. Can you expect people to possibly, test positive after that? I think that it's safe to say that could happen. But if you keep it to a minimum, and if it's taken care of, and if they do a good job, which Dave, you mentioned that they have some of the strictest sanitation policies, if not the strictest, give it a shot. People want to go to the games. People want to see it. The stadium needs to make money. The teams need to make money. The programs, the University of Miami needs to make money, and I think that this is a good way for them to kind of do that. But at the same time, is it a little premature? Maybe it is. I mean, the program has actually done a really good job of taking care of their players and the student athletes. I think that the whole University of Miami actual campus, the actual students, I think 156 have tested positive right now in the whole campus, whereas a place like Alabama had over 400 or 500 cases.
UNC
is another one that had to put down. So I know Miami is doing a really good job. I'm just, like you said, Dave, I'm kind of more, nervous about the players, and I would probably feel safer as a media member because there is going to be social distancing in the press boxes, and even if they let, I don't even know if they're going to let media members go into the press box anyways. So that's gonna, I have no idea on that one.
I mean, it's a fine line. I just feel like at this point, I mean, it's Miami-Dade County and Broward. I think they're under 10% positivity rate. So I guess it's a risk always going out with the virus because you can be asymptomatic. But I just think that people have got more control over the virus. It's a lot less deaths happening with it. But I think what went into it was the research about the positivity rate going under 10% for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So we can kind of probably expect it to continue to trend down. So I just think the 13,000 good for the first game. Let's see how it goes. It's worth the shot, I guess, because you got Kansas City Chiefs still having fans in the stadium. Some of these colleges are gonna have fans. So test run, see how it goes. If it at this point, I think they were forced, that their hand was forced, because I feel like it's so much pressure on them because the guys are like, man, I'm tired of being in the house, tired of watching from home. You want to see these guys play, so it's kind of it's fine to give it a test run, why not? But long as we continue to trend down with the rate of positives going down, you're fine. But the virus, somebody's gonna catch the virus just because it's it's inevitable. I mean, you can be around someone for 10 minutes and y'all just have a conversation and it's like whatever. I mean, they can touch your hands. It's a virus. So at this point, but you might as well test the run because you never know. But at what point would you have opened up the stadium at that point to say, okay, we can bring fans in? Because at the end of the day, I can't stop Dave from going to the game if he could be sick, or I can't stop Josh from going to the game and you could be sick. So it's just hopefully the people who are going to the games have enough, common sense and enough really for other people around them to say, hey, I'm not feeling well right now, or hey, I know I tested positive for this, or hey, I've been around somebody who tested positive. Let me not go to the game this week. Let me give my tickets to someone else. So I hope that it's that way. And that's what we just got to hope for as a society in general, to make sure that the virus continue to trend down.
Yeah, and I think with a president like Julio Frank, who's been around this for quite some time, being the Minister of Health and all that in Mexico, I think we're in good hands. I think the University of Miami is in good hands. I think he's going to take the right steps always to protect the safety of the coaching staff, the players, and even the fans to some extent. I think he's going to do a great job of it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it is. Hopefully, we'll finish it off here, but hopefully we'll have a little bit more time to know when scrimmage number 3 is going to happen. Hopefully, I would assume it's going to be this weekend. I didn't find out about the scrimmage until the same day last week. I know a lot of you did also. So scrimmage 3, I think that's probably going to be the final scrimmage, right? It's going to be. I don't know if we're going to expect too much out of it. I think the coaching staff knows what they have and the guys that are out there playing now. And I think at the end of the day, they're just going to.
Scrimmage 3 is mostly the bubble guys who are trying to make the travel team.
I think those are going to go out of play.
Yeah, the 1 and 2 guys who have been rotating. So scrimmage 3 is more so of like the bubble guys, travel team, special team guys who gonna make the cut to on the travel roster. Right. So
probably refining some of their play calling and refining some of the plays and some of the execution and all that.
You probably see a lot of the backups. So you'll probably see a lot of Knighton, Chaney, what's the quarterback? Van Dyke,
DVD.
Yeah,
you'll see a lot of those guys. Yeah. Jakari, let them know where they can follow you, bud.
King Jock 24, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole 9, y'all.
Dave, I see you've got a different handle today, which is one that we haven't used in a while. So tell them where they can find you and maybe promote the turnover chain here.
The original turnover chain account right there. Hit me up. I follow back Canes Fans 100.
There you go, baby. There you go. Paul
Austria _. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Insta, although I kind of keep Twitter moving with all the updates whenever I can.
Danny Gillette.
You can follow me on Twitter at dgillette95, and I will be coming out with some scrimmage notes and scrimmage stories, as well as hoping there's a season so that I can really dig into some content.
Yeah, you can follow me at jazz_Santana17, but most importantly, follow us at 5 Reasons Canes. That's where you can get all the latest Canes information. At 5 Reasons Canes, and also go out there and go to the website 5reasonsports.com and go get yourself a nice Canes shirt. We got a couple Canes shirts there for you guys to take a look at, support.
Rapping.
There you go.
Merch. Get your merch.
Oh yeah. Jakari,
like let's go, man. See that? 5.
They got a shameless plug there. Thanks, Manny. Manny on the ones and twos. Manny Chang, thank you for putting this together. Thank you guys, and we'll be back next week with another episode of The Sixth Ring. Let's go. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Okay.